Matchup number 2 is almost ready. Before we get into the goods, we got to tell you about it. Dire Wolves versus Wolves. Nick, this is Group D competing.
Yep.
With Wolves hoping to continue onwards with their winning ways, and Dire Wolves hoping to play spoiler. I know you're going to be confused. Don't worry. When we get into the matchup, we'll call them DW instead of Dire Wolves, just so it's easier
for
you to understand.
I was just informed of that just now. I love that idea.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
DW.
Everybody is happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy when you're happy.
Also, just not a correction, but Dire Wolves, or DW, also come off a victory as well, because they actually beat and upset Mirage last night, 7-5 on Theme Park. So they've already kind of started the spoiling of this group, and they're going to, as you said, try and continue to do so.
Yesterday in their matchup, the APAC team of Dire Wolves, which is Jackie, Pecan, Ed, Reaps, and Souffle.
Yeah.
I love just love the word souffle. Either way, Reaps is coming in highly touted as, what was it, Fresh called him the Spoit of APAC or something like that, I think.
Spot of APAC, yes, that is correct, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
It's big praise. I mean, we can
praise.
say that.
And Spoit is the Bolo of APAC, and then Bolo was the Palu of North America. We're going deep down the rabbit hole either.
Yeah.
Dire Wolves started off the day yesterday with a disappointing result. 7-1 for FaZe over Dire Wolves, but they bounced back and ended the day with a victory 7-5 over Mirage. Wolves started the day with what was a significantly closer matchup of 8-7 over Mirage. I don't think most people thought that Mirage's debut would have them go toe-to-toe with the #1 team out of Europe and push them to the brink of 15 rounds. And then Wolves answers that win with another victory, but this time in regulation over FaZe Clan, who is always the favorite at every event they go to based on the success that they've had over the last year.
Yeah, Wolves had a very slow start yesterday, and I'm curious to see if they're going to have that same issue today, or if that was a day one kind of problem they've now solved, because that really is going to be the easiest way for DW to beat them is, well, if they're slow and you go fast, you should just overrun them.
Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
It's just really what it boils down to. So how are these teams going to match up? That is the question that I want to be answered, because when I look at the landscape of this group, you've got 4 teams that all play wildly different styles of Rainbow Six Siege, and there's unpredictability factors on all of these teams. The only squad in this entire group that I feel is often the most consistent is FaZe Clan.
Yeah, obviously.
And yesterday, they did not have a very consistent day. They're going to be in action on the other stream, by the way, playing against Mirage. If you're curious, you can watch both of these streams at the same time. It looks like the channels are actually squad streaming. So you can tune into both at once. Or alternatively, if you're going to watch VODs, you can put them up at the same time and then put the sound on for both of them and just have maximum chaos as you hear both casting pairs
please don't do that.
live at the same time. I'm curious where we're going to go to. The
map-wise, yeah.
Map, Nick, is going to be very interesting. Skyscraper was where Dire Wolves went to against FaZe, and then Theme Park against Mirage. Wolves went to Clubhouse for both of their matches. And we're not going to go to any of those 3 maps. We're going to go to Villa. The last 3 remaining maps were Chalet, Bank, and Villa, so we were going to go somewhere new no matter what.
Yeah, Villa is a map that's going to square up interesting for these 2 teams, because Villa is both an aggressive team, or aggressive map rather, but also a map where fundamentals and structure really plays a big factor. You gotta drone out the right areas, take the correct map control in the right order, otherwise things they really fall apart, but the map still allows you for that explosiveness that comes out of nowhere, and both DW and Wolves are able to play that play style. It's actually how Wolves beat FaZe yesterday on Clubhouse, by just flipping their pace on a dime, going really passive one round and really aggressive the next, and just always keeping your opponent guessing as to what you might be doing. I think DW and Villa can have a great shot at potentially causing the upset, or at the very least take us close, and even going to OT would arguably be enough to kind of spoil the situation for Wolves.
Absolutely. Both of these teams can play spoiler to their own chances. If you are wondering what the group looks like, it's a very competitive group at the moment. Wolves, the team in gold/yellow, they're the team that comes in atop the group right now with 5 points. Dire Wolves are only 2 points behind. So a win for Dire Wolves in regulation bumps them up to first place in the group. You've obviously got the FaZe Clan Mirage matchup happening at the same time, so it's entirely possible that FaZe Clan can win, which would then throw Direwolves into second place overall. We're just theory crafting based on what the stats are. But Direwolves' expectations, to me, are going to be come in, be as competitive as possible. This is Direwolves' second international event, if I remember correctly, and as a squad, you're thinking.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's accurate. I don't know for a fact, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate. Yeah, yes, because I've cast it before, so it would be.
Yes, I know they were in Charlotte.
I think second is correct.
Yes, they were.
Okay.
They were in Charlotte. They did not compete in Berlin. At least that's not what my notes say.
That's correct.
So as a team, they're coming in, and they, very similar to what we see at a Mirage, who are also first-time performers at an international event. They're coming in, and their goal is to try and get as many game reps as possible, and even if they don't make it out of groups, for a lot of these teams that make their debut here at LAN, their focus is on improvement, because what Direwolves are going to learn here, they're going to take back to APAC South, and it's going to make them a better team. It's what we saw happen with Damwon Kia. It's what we've seen happen with Sandbox. It's what we've seen happen with Cyclops. There's a reason why a lot of the same APAC teams tend to come to events throughout the course of the year. And it's because you can take the lessons, you can take the in-person scrimming, which in and of itself is huge, and then bring it back to your region. Doesn't matter if Direwolves get blown out 7-0 in every single match. They're learning something, and more importantly, while their match performance might not be good, they get to scrim teams from LATAM. They get to scrim teams from North America. They get to scrim teams from Europe. That's not possible based on their geographical location being in potentially South Asia, North Asia, Australia, Oceania, etc. So Direwolves are going to have lessons that they bring back with them. It will make them a better team. Wolves are a team whose expectations are often in their own head.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they've competed at so many international events, they've never really had the success that they've wanted.
No, I mean, they've made all 3 majors in this year, and they have not made it past quarterfinals, and frankly, didn't even make it out of groups in Charlotte, rather. So they haven't found the success that they would like to have. And I would say, even though they had a good day number 1, they want more than that, and they should also aim for more than that in day number 2 and day number 3, rather, and comfortably get to playoffs.
Absolutely. Well, it's time to get up into the matchup. The teams are in, the map is ready, and we've got Rainbow Six ahead of us. Which wolf is going to be better? Is it a Direwolf, or is it the European wolf? I'm actually very keen to see what the community poll says, because the community poll in our first matchup favored Cyclops, and they didn't prevail. It was Sonics who actually won it. Sometimes, folks, you don't get it right. 73% of you think that it's going to be the European wolves. The APAC Wolves only at 27%. That is a gulf. There's a huge gap between these two teams.
No, that there is. And I want to see what kind of operator bands that we're going to be looking at going into this map as well, because that's going to really tell the story of how Villa is going to be playing out. Nurk, of course, off the board immediately. No surprise there. I think that Wolves wants to make sure that DW can just sneak around the map and try and get those picks. It's also something that Mirage used against Wolves to upset them, or go all the way to OT rather, on Clubhouse. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Thatcher, stable, good old story. We don't want those EMPs in the game, even though we still have secondary EMPs now. They're not as effective, and therefore they're not going to be as good. Asami off the board. Again, most banned defender in the entire game across all regions. It can just really shape up every single bomb site. It's so hard to attack against unless you bring, for example, a Flores to deal with those keeper barriers. And then Valkyrie. Good old information game is always important, and therefore we're going to go in a little bit more blind this time around.
Literally.
Literally. It's also why Echo and Maestro's pick rate, by the way, for this tournament has seen a kind of like a rather large rise, because Valkyrie is banned very frequently, but he's still on Intel. Therefore, Echo and Maestro is next in line, besides bulletproof cameras, etc., which some defenders have access to.
Intel is the name of the game for both the attackers and the defenders. The best tool that attackers have at their disposal is not a sledgehammer, it's not an exothermic charge, it's a drone, and every single operator gets 2 of them.
Actually, Twitch gets 3. Because you spawn with a default and have 2 Twitch drones when you spawn. So technically that's false. That's probably super annoying to deal with. And I'm not sorry about it. almost every single defender or attacker rather has 2 drones.
Oh my god, nobody cares.
I think it's important that to be accurate.
You know why she spawns with a regular drone?
Why?
Because if she gets 6th pick, then there's not a Twitch drone on the field.
Yeah, but she still has 3. The reasoning doesn't matter, does it? Imagine you put it down a Goyo canister in her face and you get zapped and you just die and burn.
You are being pedantic, and I hate you.
That's a new word for me. Pedantic.
You are being pedantic, and I hate you.
It doesn't sound like a positive word the way you announce it.
No, you are being needlessly difficult and needlessly specific.
Okay.
And it is argumentative, and I do not care for it. People understood what I was saying.
Yeah.
You get 2 drones. Oh my god. We are already casting a match where they are both called wolves.
I know. I'm just adding to it.
Add to my mental fatigue already. I cannot believe this. Either way, the point is that Intel is the name of the game. I can't believe I got so dragged off the topic by you because of that. Anywho.
I like to point out that we got Sledge Shotgun, round number 1. That's abnormal. And we got Amaru, which is not super abnormal, but it just goes to show that DW, they're here with these, what we call like APAC chaotic rounds, where things don't necessarily make sense, but they work. Let's see if they can do it. Tough start.
Oh, Reaps is gone. Heralded as one of the best additions to any roster in APAC. Had a very rough first match. Showed up a lot better against Mirage in round number 1 on Amaru. Not exactly the first result that he wants. There's still over half the round to go, and you've lost your supposed star player. It's not great. And it was a relatively easy pick for Wolves, too, and Bibu doesn't lose anything in the process.
I will say, starting on attacking side on Villa against Wolves is one of the hardest challenges I think you can really be up against, because the map favors the defense. Wolves, they're always scattered across the map and they play so aggressive, especially Mowgli, who we just spectated. He will take every single fight. If he hears a footstep, he swings it. If you shoot back at him, he'll pre-fire you back. And it's hard to maintain composure as DW because it feels like you're always under so much pressure of a potential peak. Now the phone call comes out. Audio works too.
ED walks in, and that's the first pick for Direwolves. DW Bibu, who ended yesterday as the 3rd highest rated player at the major. 29 kills. By my count, that is actually the most kills out of any single player on the first day. So kudos to Bibu for getting those. The fact that he is down, at least he got a single kill around. That's not bad for Bibu with that early pick on Reaps. But again, he knew the engagement was coming. He wasn't prepared for it. Lost the fight. P4 gets souffle as Direwolves push. Works out, actually. Pecan with the shotgun in hand. Outduels P4. And just to speed himself up a little bit, that secondary goes out. The problem with this Sledge having a shotgun is that you need to be at close range. And if you have unpredictability of Wolves, you won't be able to fend them off. And Wolves double up on kills, leaving ED as the last one standing. Lots of munition, 47 bullets still in this gun, but you got 5 seconds to use that bullet hose, and you're not going to be able to do it. No, stopped by Shinka at the last second. I didn't know if the Wolves were going to let the Dire Wolves live, but either way, the European Wolves are the ones who get round number 1.
I want to see how DW can approach this map strategically, because as I said during the map ban phase, it comes down to how you execute, really. You can't just walk in on Villa and expect success. It's not like Clubhouse or Bank that's a lot more accessible to just walking on in. When you see both sides of the map right now, you got the study balcony. That's a tough position to enter because you got all those crossfires, top main, AVG door, etc. Softball on bomb side. On this trophy bomb side, let's say you go master bedroom, you can't just jump in a window and comfortably be in there. C4s from below, astro pressure, deployable shield can be a softball and a triple wall as well. Rise currently is going to reinforce it. So you have to really pick apart the defensive setup. That comes down to how you utilize your heart breach. Most notably, the Hibana or the Ace, the ranged breach that is. How do you deal with the mute jammers, bandit charge, or kite claws on the wall? Do you grenade them? Do you play secondary AMPs? Once that wall is opened up, which operator are you going to bring to then brute force the bomb side? For example, ED right now on the OSA. That's a great operator to try and get that diffuser planted. Another honorable mention is operators like Glass or Ying or Capital. And right now, they're doing a good job at bringing what they need to pick apart this round. Secondary AMPs check. Grenades check, ranged heart breach check. Now comes the challenge, are they going to make the right decisions in the right order to actually successfully get there? Wolves are playing a below extension, So Master Bedroom itself is relatively safe. Doesn't mean though it's going to be any easier. You still need to do it correctly.
Really like how much we've been seeing Osa played, by the way. Changes to the meta have opened the window for this operator to come in, not requiring explosives all the time. And the other big change that shook up the meta most recently was to LMGs. Finka's pick rate bottomed out. Zofia has been missing for a lot of these rounds. I guess being brought, but Ashe and Sledge have been your two primary soft breachers as of late. You've also got Iana if you need. Buck has appeared again. There's good diversity with soft destruction because you don't need to triple up on it. It gives you that flex spot for your Dokkaebis, for your Capitaos, for your Osas. And even yesterday we saw a bit of Sens. Now Pecan is going to meet Bibu head on, and with roughly half of the round played out, Bibu gets the first pick for Wolves, a second round in a row.
You see here, ED's got that first talent shield down and gets a kill as well. C4 goes out, does a ton of damage, rather than an impact grenade, should I say. And all of a sudden, chaos, it unfolds.
Very swiftly do we see the kills start to come in, but they all favor the European squad. Leaves just Jackie Wu and Souffle for Direwolves, one of which is in the building, the other one not quite close. And despite Souffle's proximity to the A-bomb chassis, it's not quite as close as you think, because walking through that door can be to your doom. Rise will greet him. Flash goes out. Bibu also has the cross. Rise taking some serious damage, actually losing the fight, but Bibu has his teammates back. Picks up a third on the round, leaving Jackie Wu in a similar spot. Rise being forced out of this position, gives Jackie Wu entrance to that room, and he takes out P4 before turning around. And if Wolves cannot take this engagement, then Jackie Wu can isolate them. Bibu needs to be the hero for Wolves, looking for kill number 5. 4 on the round. Jackie Wu by the bomb chassis. E1D done, but it's Bibu with ice in his veins to give Wolves their second round in a row.
And Bibu is finding himself in these clutch positions so often. I mean, both against FaZe and against Mirage. He was in the 1 versus 5 clutchable position. Didn't work out either time, but it was oh so close in both scenarios. This time, however, in the 1 versus 1, he is the victor. And I was having a lot of fun that round watching Rise's face cam. He's just playing sort of statue. When he got that gunfight with the member on the master bedroom door, you can just see him go, help, 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 I'm being swung. And no one really helped the poor man. And that's why Jackie Wu got to that bomb site and got all those kills and found almost the round for his team that they so desperately needed. It's 2-0 in favor of Wolves. I don't know if this is a tactical or technical timeout. I can't actually tell, but Lilun is talking, so I'm going to assume it's a
I'm going to imagine
DW timeout.
DW timeout seems to be correct. I mean, we're looking for confirmation, but Direwolves obviously not getting the start that they wanted through these 2 rounds. Round number 1 seemed to be a bit evenly paced at the beginning. Second round all fell apart very early on. The push from Direwolves looked like it wanted to tackle both trophy and statuary evenly, but the manpower that was dispensed by DW towards the trophy component got rebuffed very quickly by B.
Yeah.
So you're left with 2 players, one of whom is kind of floating in this no man's land between the 2 bomb sites, the top of landing, the other sitting behind the Osa shield inside a master bedroom. And at that point, you have to try to isolate picks, which Jackie Wu almost managed to do and ended up in the 1v1 against Bibu. But at that point, I mean, what are you going to do? Bibu is in a much better position than you are. You being on attack, having that DMR, your rate of fire is not going to be as strong, but the damage that you do is going to be good. You have to get the objective down. The clock is working against you, and you don't have the good information that you need, whereas Bibu seemed to understand that, hey, the focus is going to be on statuary, not on trophy. I can play from the other side of the room and just waste as much time as possible. It's the advantageous spot for him to be in. It's the benefit of being a defender. And it works out in favor of Wolves. Significantly harder for you as an attacker to pull that one off. Direwolves know that. They use their timeout to try and level their heads and get back into this matchup.
Also, one thing for DW last round is that Pecan was top red stairs, just about to flank inside of Trophy, and that he would have gotten 2 kills lined up for him. And as he saw the first member of Wolves, Bibu flanked him and took him down instead. And if that had gone differently, I do think that DW actually had a really good opening to that round. And I do also think that the opening kill whichever team gets it has a significant advantage based off how these two teams play. Mirage, when they fought against Wolves on Clubhouse, that's how they were forcing their way into the rounds. They were getting opening kill, playing 5 vs 4 advantage, and that's when the Wolves were bleeding out slowly. But DW right now, they've lost the opening kill both of the first 2 rounds to Bibu. Now this round, Bibu's on pause on the bomb site giving information. This could be the way forward for them to fight other members and hopefully win that initial gunfight and then get that initial advantage, and then they're in a great position. Speaking of 3 drones, Twitch is being brought out by Jackie Wu. Can clear us.
Give it a rest, man.
I just had to. I was like, please
Give it a
pick Twitch. I was like, please pick Twitch.
No one, and I mean this, cares.
Okay.
So.
I am no one now. That's...
Nobody cares. Oh, cry about it, loser.
Oh, they did it! They did it!
Shinka's been downed, by the way, and they might be able to secure
they didn't do
here.
it.
Can Pecan use that explosive to his advantage? Shinka will bleed out, but it'll leave that trail that they'll be able to drone and find and discover. That mute jammer seemed to be somewhat of an issue. P4 takes out ED, and now the recovery from Wolves. No swing in is possible from DW. Down goes Jackie Wu, but Reeves has suddenly found an opening and 2 kills to his name, but Mowgli says that's quite enough of these shenanigans. The Zofia, who started things off on the window of Pantries, now repelled in and is in the B bomb site, taking out a Banshee and a bulletproof camera at the same time. Scouting out the last 3 members of Wolves and where their positions might be. No LMG in hand, so you don't have that same ability to spray that Zofia had before. You will need to reload at some point. That greatly benefits the defenders because there will be a moment of vulnerability for Direwolves. But intel is the name of the game. You talked about it. The Valkyrie ban from Wolves is designed to deny DW that intel when they move on to defense. Default cams, Banshees, bulletproof cameras from Wolves doing more than enough. Rise goes down, last 2 members from Wolves stacked up. A goo mine will be hit. That's another gadget that gives intel to the defenders. Pecan with diffuser in hand. Vulnerable for a moment. Mowgli's trying to shake him off of this spot, and he gets the kill onto the rump of the last player from DW. 3 in a row from Wolves. This one is going by in quite a hurry.
Also look at how Wolves plays that 1 vs 2. One member's gonna hide inside of Laundry, that's gonna be the Kaid, and just wait down the timer. You need to send Mowgli in to just try and see, okay, either he's planting and you get the kill, or he goes off the plant and then there's 0 seconds left and your teammate can trade you back. Very disciplined Wolves right now, respecting DW as well, knowing that this is a 3-0 sure, but it's not going to be an easy victory at that. And as you mentioned, information is so important. That's why Wolves are bringing out at least 1 bulletproof camera each and every single round, because they need to supplement the Valkyrie ban somewhere on the map. Maestro and Echo are great operators, and they give you more info because you have 2 gadgets instead of just a bulletproof camera, but at the same time, you're going to be forcing yourself on a more passive, slower operator, and that's not Wolves' playstyle necessarily, so it's going to take a fast operator, like a Jaeger, slap a bulletproof camera on him, and then you get the best of both worlds.
We're being told that there is a distinction between why we are on a pause now versus a pause in the previous round, and it's that this is a technical issue.
Okay.
So
it was a DW tactical the first time, and
as far as we're aware, it was a DW timeout taken at the end of round number 2, whereas right now this is a technical issue that seems to be fallen Bibu, as he was the player on Wolves without his headset on. It's usually a dead giveaway as to which person on the team is being affected by it, because the first thing they do is take off their headset.
Yeah. I want to point out that whenever Wolves are having either technical difficulties or they're losing rounds, whenever the camera shows Mowgli and Mowgli like talking in general, he's always laughing, smiling, and pointing towards the sky every single time. And there's been this debate in the North American League where when Yeti went from Sonics to Space Station Gaming, both teams are of course here at the Sweden Major, a lot of people were saying, well, is Yeti an upgrade on Space Station? Is that going to be the player to make the difference and to win games? And a lot of people go like, performance-wise, he's a great player, sure. But what Yeti brings is also that, we call it the vibes, right? You're always going to be bringing up the motivation, you're going to be inspiring your teammates, and you're really going to keep people focused on the task at hand, which is each and every single round is all we care about.
This is a family show.
Yeah.
Don't blow kisses.
And that was too far, man. We saw Eminem yesterday. They were down 2-6 against Cyclops, and yet Eminem still, spoiler alert, made a comeback 6 rounds in a row. And I think it was Tyrant on Twitter that said, oh, the moment the score went 3-6, I knew we were going to make that comeback. Because they just took it round by round and they believed in each other and the possibility of a possible comeback.
So I actually had breakfast with the M&M folks this morning, or
cool.
At least some of them, not all of them. And I obviously asked about the matchup against Cyclops yesterday, and they said, well, there have been times before where we have been down in a 2v6 or a 1v6, etc., and we've always come back. Especially on Chalet, a map that they have never lost since their inception as a team. And I was like, of course, you're down 2-6, right where you want them. You got them exactly where you want them. And they kind of chuckled and they said, no, but in all seriousness, we did expect to come back. And I know that we talk about vibes a lot, which is this superfluous thing. It's talked about in a way that you can't actually quantify what vibes means. But there are times when a team will make a roster move that at face value looks a bit strange, and you say to yourself, okay, why would this player whose stats are quite good be removed from the team? Which leads usually the public to go about on Twitter and say, so-and-so was not the problem. Well, I mean, statistically, the player might be a net positive.
Yeah.
Emotionally, personality-wise, behavior-wise, they might be a massive negative. And it leaves us often scratching our heads as to why a good performing player in the server would be shuffled out for somebody else. But if you are constantly complaining, if you are constantly bringing the team down, arguing, fighting, and they can replace you with somebody who's going to be positive, or will keep a level head, or can, quote-unquote, keep those vibes high.
There it is.
Then you're going to be adding to the team in a way that the other player didn't. And I will say, both of these teams, they seem to have players that can keep that mentality high. And that's obviously very good, especially when the going gets tough.
It absolutely is, and the thing is, even work ethic is important, right? How many hours do you put in theory crafting? Because when you look at a good team and a great team, it's what you put in outside the server when you think about the game and how to go about it. We can tell right now, Wolves, they're holding strong on main stairs. They got that theory craft out. They want to stick to their ground. P4 goes to the flank from 90 Hatch, gets shut down immediately by Reaps.
DW getting that opening pick. Reaps was phenomenal in that two-piece that he got in the previous round when attacking Kitchen. But this time, you're going to have to get a little bit more than that because things for Dire Wolves are looking, pardon the pun, a little dire. Look at Jackie Wu and look at Pecan's HP. Even Reaps has lost a little bit of it. This is where Afinka actually came in exceptionally handy. And while the wounded members of Dire Wolves persist, the full HP of Souffle is eliminated, and that's also your hard breach down, and now Reaps will follow. This is a very common angle that Rise is playing. You should be prepared for this. Upstairs, looking down onto the stairs. Quickly on, a nade from Jackie Wu dispatches Mowgli. Wolves have found themselves on the same level as Dire Wolves in a 3v3.
Diffuser is outside of study balcony. Pecan only member there. If he falls, Diffuser is absolutely gone for DW. ED and Jackie Wu red stairs and inside of trophy-ish area. They're going to push forward. They can't breach the 90 vault wall. Ryan's going to be in a very strong position here to hold the fortress down. Shinken, no Toxic Babes, 1 HP, no C4. If DW can get that diffuser delivered to top red, they could actually go for a plant, and Wolves have no real way to deny it.
I mean, I'm assuming that Shinka has the shotgun. And on this bomb site, that shotgun can be so handy. DW bursting into the bomb site, diffuser in hand. Pecan should be able to get it down as Wolves scramble in the post plant. Taking damage in the process. Bibu on a flank. He takes out ED, and Pecan has gone to Shinka as well. It's all up to Jackie Wu. Outside on study balcony. He's got an eye on that diffuser, but the problem is that where it's been planted, the vault door will be your enemy. It works to get the diffuser down, but if everybody else gets pounced upon and you're last one left, where you put that diffuser is going to actively work against you. That's exactly what happens. Jackie Wu cannot get into a position in study without getting beaten. And it's Wolves up 4-0 now.
The difficult part about planting on Aviator Games bomb set that we just saw isn't necessarily getting the bomb down itself. It's what do you do afterwards in the post plant. If you're a buck, you can go down below possibly and do some vertical destruction if people try and defuse. But generally speaking, in that scenario, if you're Jackie Wu, you just can't see the diffuser. You just can't. There's the vault wall blocking line of sight. You gotta walk in through study. There's crossfire, so many angles. You have no information. So the post plant is almost a bigger enemy than that of the plant itself. Of course, you can argue that if you fight for the man advantage, let's say that DW, they're 3 versus 1. Your post plan is very strong because you have crossfires. But in a 1 versus 1 or a 1 versus X, it becomes so much more difficult because you can't see it from a safe location. Looks like DW might change up their game style and their pacing right now, because look at those attacker repicks. We see a Monty on the board as well as an Hibana. Likely gonna go for the roam clear option, but of course you can't go master bedroom as well. Normally when you see a Monty, you're gonna go study balcony and go all the way through the map towards the bomb site. But, as I mentioned, you can also just go master bedroom balcony immediately. And because Monty can walk around safely with that shield, you give yourself a lot more cover in throughout master bedroom. You can start enabling that plant easier, like ED tried the previous time with the OSA. Although, as we all know, that didn't quite work out in their favor.
I don't think the OSA was the problem.
No, it wasn't the problem.
There, yeah.
But the Monty is almost like a safer option there, because you can't just impact grenade the shield. Does he fall the shield? Monty will stay alive if you do that. He doesn't care.
Well, you've lost Reaps yet again. First casualty for DW. Mowgli, the one to get it. Wolves, the European team, have been just a smidge better than Direwolves at getting these first picks. DW being on their back foot is not ideal, and the only problem with having a Monty, it's very similar to a Clash. If you are at a disadvantage in numbers and you have a shield operator up, you're already almost playing like you're a little bit farther back.
Yeah.
Because Monty often needs an escort. I know it's possible for Monty to drop the shield, jiggle peek, kill you with the pistol, get up close, melee you, but similar to a Clash, you're better when somebody is with you.
Absolutely.
Now they've lost Reaps, they've lost nades, they've lost a good gun. You're in a tougher spot. You've got an escort for Monty that might need to come for somewhere else on the map.
No, you're right. Like, this is actually a very poor position to be in, because you're playing what I call the 3 versus 5, right? You only have 3 guns, really, and you've lost Reap, your quote-unquote star player, and half your grenade and explosive economy. To make matters worse, Jackie Wu does not have any smoke grenades, which arguably works out fine because now you can force out this breach, but you have nowhere to deny lines of sight. That means Monty is always going to be safe because you got the shield, but your teammates that are behind you, you're not going to have much cover at all.
It's the Monty being slowed down now by the Banshee as Mowgli watches over. The Mountain walks on in. This trophy statuary take from Direwolves. ED down below, and he might actually be able to catch P4 depending on where P4 runs through the basement, but they're not quite on that collision course that you would have thought. Oh, P4 is tantalizingly close. He's got Bibu as supporting cast, not too far off, just on those stairs up to Astronomy. 30 seconds to go, and the 2 players from Direwolves on that bottom floor will need to get into the bomb site at some point. Rise, the first one to die for Wolves. Pecan breathing in toxic fumes. Down goes Jackie Wu. Souffle follows. Mowgli, all 3 kills so far. And he could get a 4th as he takes out Pecan.
Oh, he's looking for
all
it.
up to ED, and there's Mowgli to get the ace. Beautifully done by Wolves. 5 kills, all 5 of them for the 5th round for Wolves. They have not allowed Direwolves to catch their breath once in this matchup.
Oh, he was on the hunt. I mean, he was literally looking for that final kill when he found the 4K. And as far as I know, Gunnar got an ace in day number 1.
That is correct,
So
yesterday.
this, as far as I know, is the 2nd ace of the Sweden Major, but there could have been a 3rd. I've double-checked that. I believe it's the 2nd ace of the Major, at least so far. And it comes from Mowgli, which honestly is no surprise at all. One of the best players in the EUL, arguably the key member for Wolves as an individual, is always allowed freedom to play the operators that he wants to play and play the positions where he thrives the most, which is get this man in a gunfight. Give him a good gun and boost his ego a bit, saying you're the best damn player on the server, and he'll win so many gunfights. It is unbelievable, time and time again. And then you got P4 playing Kavera. That also happens. Normally, Kavera is played as an operator to... And I like how P4 is playing it, right? You're hiding on the bomb site to hide this operator. Because if you get droned out in prep phase, you're going to be aware of it and drone everything very cautiously. The goal for P4 is to hide. The moment the round starts, sprints around the map and hide lightly in the basement. That's where he's going to go. The plan now is to just hide down there, hopefully not get droned out, and then come up a staircase where a member might be lurking around and get that interrogation. This is a classic thing to do when you think your enemy has weak drone work.
Now, this is not something that you could have known. And I hate to spoil something on the other stream, but just moments before Mowgli's ace, Astro got
There's
an
no way.
Astro got an ace for FaZe on
Okay.
the other stream against Mirage. So,
Wow.
yes, we look like Gunnar, Astro, Mowgli right now in terms of the players that have gotten aces thus far. And I want to give a shout out to our observer, Easy, for giving that information to us. Thank you so much,
What a
Easy.
nice guy.
Chad, if you're watching this, can you just type thank Mr. Easy in the chat? That's all I want from you. Now, the entry from DW looks to be pretty good. They've picked up 2 kills for their trouble. Rise and Mowgli are down. After Mowgli gets the ace, nothing for round number 6. And 2 opening picks for DW as they immediately get out of the building. They found the Caveira, isolated the Caveira. Reaps picks up a 2nd kill. Direwolves 5v2, over half of the round still left to play.
Yeah, you got Shinka and Bibu, arguably the 2 most clutch members of the Wolves from Europe. And they can still make this work. No C4 from Bibu's side. Shinka does have one in spare pocket. But DW, they got that final phone call coming out. They got IQ to track the pulse if you were to use the gadget. And they still have 6 drones to work with. They can just take all the time they need. Discipline, wait it out, play together. You do not need to rush the building, and they're not going to do just that. Pigan gets that kill. It's Shinken a 1v5 for the clutch. But no, it's a flawless round for DW. They're on the board, 5-1 in the first half.
I mean, that's an impressive round to end.
Yes.
But
it's the end of the first half.
But it's the end of the first half. You have quite the hole to dig yourself out of. Wolves being up 5-1 over DW. A triumphant first half. If you look at the special stats that we have available at our fingertips, Wolves leading the way with opening picks. They got 4 of the 6 rounds with an advantage. Direwolves, not the hottest on objective play. They got the diffuser down, didn't win any of the rounds. They were able to do that, and there was a clutch from Wolves, which was Bibu winning out the round, and an ace from Mowgli. Gives you as lopsided a matchup as it appears on your screen. 2 of these rounds that Wolves won did come down to 1v1s, but still at the end of the day, Wolves came out ahead, and then you had that flawless round by Direwolves to cap things off. Now DW are going to go on to defense. 3 bomb sites were played by Wolves on their defensive stead. It was Aviator, Trophy, and Kitchen just over and over again. We haven't seen Living Room, Library, bomb site. It is unlikely that it will get brought out unless Direwolves are particularly desperate and wanting to throw a bit of anarchy into the mix.
I am curious to see the comparison here in a round's time from how DW attacks Villa and how Wolves wants to approach it. Because the way you play Villa in Europe is very, very structured. It's very ABC, and this is not what's supposed to happen because P4 is not supposed to die in the basement. That's going to be an issue.
Not exactly the best matchup for P4 at this point. Playing on operators that are engaging in gunfights and just coming out on the wrong side of it. The Ash on Wolves. No more. Excellent start by Pecan. Reaps has lost some HP. Reaps is a very feast or famine style player.
Oh, yeah.
2 of Reaps' rounds of those 5 kills, both coming for double kills. So you get a single kill, then you get a double kill, then you get a double kill. That means that of the 5 kills for Reaps, they've come in just 3 rounds. He picks up 1 here in round number 7. That's kill number 6. And it puts Direwolves in better position. The problem for DW is that you do not have a lot of wiggle room. 2 rounds, a single round for Wolves guarantees that they get 1 point. Then the hill that you need to climb takes you into overtime, and your win condition comes with potentially, 7 rounds in a row. That's a daunting prospect for Direwolves to find.
No, it is. Although this round is a great start to the second half. As I said, Wolves play a very typical ABC 1-2-3 style Villa, which now we're kind of seeing those steps being taken. P4 a little bit careless in the basement running around. Mowgli bottom red stairs also kind of carelessly running around. Well, this is a bit of lack of respect for DW due to how one-sided their defending side was, I don't know. But either way, attacking on Villa is not easy, no matter what the matchup is. There are so many things to take care of, and the map does not favor you in terms of layout when you are on the attack. All these rotations, they take so much time. Rise is outside the building with 50 seconds left, trying to reach a wall that is mute jammed. So this results in nothing good. MP now comes out, but Rise has to rotate elsewhere, also spending precious seconds to be inside the building again.
Now, after losing those two players from Wolves, they have taken their sweet time to determine what the next steps are. And I mean, if you lose your Yana and you lose your Ashe, these are going to be two of your primary soft destructors available for Wolves. You're going to have to find it somewhere else. That puts more on the weight of Bibu's shoulders, as he doesn't just have one kill, by the way, and one death. This is a triple kill for Reaps, and this one looks like it's all but over, leaving Bibu in a 1v5. How about 2 flawless rounds in a row for Direwolves? 6+ minutes now where Wolves have been unable to find a kill. I don't know if this is time for a timeout or not. It's still available for Wolves. They're not in trouble, but those are 2 very good rounds to get DW back into the game, both physically and mentally.
I think you gotta slow it down if you're Wolves right now, right? You gotta take the time that you actually need to get all 4 or 5 members to the bomb site destination on the attack before things fall apart. If you find yourselves in the 3 versus 5 like we saw in that round, the round is, I mean, statistically it's over. You can't win with 3 members against 5 on Villa, especially on the AVG bomb site. It's too fortified. There's too many angles and positions that you need to worry about as an attacker that you can't cover. For example, in that round, there's nobody from Wolves on the study balcony, which means one half of the map you have 0 control or pressure over. That alone is like a done deal. You can't just walk in the bomb site. There's too many things to worry about. This is a different story though. Trophy statuary. You can take this a little bit differently. You can go study balcony where Mowgli's drone currently is, walk through and roam clear these members of ED, Jackie and Reaps, or like DW did, go for a direct limited attack on the master bedroom balcony instead. Look at the operator lineup, it looks to be a roam clear if we had a theory craft around it, because there's no Monty, there's no Ossa, so there's no real way to brute force the master bedroom door. And it's also why it makes a lot of sense why 3 members of Wolves, they are 4 members of P4 joining the team actually, going study balcony, because this is the favorite situation for the operators you've picked. Shinka's phone calls are going to be crucial for this roam clear. There is a mute from Pecan. They can of course stop those calls if you are on a jam or nearby to run in towards one. Drone work is crucial. The Twitch drones here to sap utility is vital as well. Get through these pests. Reaps gets the first Twitch drone, 1 pocket to go.
Which player on Wolves is going to be the first to get the kill that they need? Because they've gone 2 rounds without it. Logic bombs go out. That'll aid Wolves on this info gathering setup that they have. Reminder that Wolves themselves banned out Valkyrie, meaning that Direwolves won't be able to use the operator on this half. When one team bans an operator, it's often designed so that your opponents don't gain access to it. That means that Direwolves banning out Thatcher is designed to hurt Wolves on attack. Is it the reason for their deficiency? No, not at all. After 2 rounds of not being able to get on the scoreboard, Wolves crack open round number 8 with 3 very fast picks. P4 making up for lost time. Wolves' advantage continues to grow as teams slaughter each other, leaving just Pecan for Direwolves against 3 from the European team. Nitrocell hawked out in desperation. Doesn't do a single point of damage to Wolves. Diffuser in the hands of Shinka going down right now. Mowgli and Rise will cover as Pecan needs to get back to the bomb site. Mowgli doesn't permit it. That's match point for Wolves.
Looked a lot more confident there too, and even though it was a very aggressive front-forward entry from Wolves, they actually did do that 1-2-3 step situation, because Rise was on 90 red pellets A's, opened up the bar wall, essentially keeping Reaps and Mossy stuck on that bar desk area, and he can then give the information, oh guys, he has not crossed back, he has to be near the bar. Then 2 members of Wolves can walk on in, take that 2v1 confrontation, and get what is arguably a really straightforward kill. Then they trade 3 for 1 on that roam clear, then last members of DW have to pick up the pieces, play retake, run back towards the bomb side, ripping down doors and barricades, and well, Wolves are halfway through the plan at that point. The round is basically over. And now you're in that position that you mentioned, Parker, match point. DW, they need 6 rounds straight to win in overtime. That is an almost impossible, but not impossible situation. It literally happened yesterday.
That is true. We did actually see this. It was not Wolves who had it done to them, but it was an APAC team, and it was a European team.
Yeah.
But the difference was that it was the APAC team that was sitting on 6, and it was
Yeah.
the European team that was sitting on 2. So different regions, you just swap them out. I don't know if Dire Wolves have the same potential, though, that we see out of M&M, who are the team that ultimately did end up coming back. Crazier things have happened. There was a period of time where it looked like this could have been a 7-0.
That's true.
Did not materialize.
Did not. Kite for Waldeneye, together combined with the mute of Pecan, is going to be easily answered by a single frag grenade from Bibo if they were to try and do that. It can be tricky to clear out the Kite Claw on the 111 Master Bedroom because you gotta kind of throw the grenade above the reinforcement because the Kite Claw is above the wooden pillar. Because Mowgli with the Twitch would typically be in a spot to help them out, but he's actually on the roam, clear, and study balcony, which means it leaves us these 3 members of P4, Bibo, and Shinka. It looks like they're trying to bait the roam, clear, and rush the bomb site with audio. I'm not sure that's the case, but I think they're gonna go for it.
This could be a rush from Wolves right now, and it certainly looks that way. First casualty is ED. Another will fall in Souffle. Bibu is in. Diffuser in the hands of Shinka. Single kill for Dire Wolves. That's at the hands of Jackie Wu, but he's dispatched immediately. P4 has control of the site. Reaps is down for the count. It's Pecan. That's it. Diffuser goes down. Dire Wolves in so much trouble, but a Nitro Cell does claim Bibu's life. Can Pecan isolate the last 3 players looking for the retake here on Trophy Statuary? Timer will work against Dire Wolves. Hoping for at least a single point. Pecan and Wolves side by side. It's P4 to get the final kill. 7-2. Wolves allowed Dire Wolves to get back into this matchup. And I gotta say, 2 rounds that are both won flawlessly is pretty nice, but that's the only bright spot for Dire Wolves in this match. The European Wolves get all 3 points in their game and prevail, 7-2.
And I love how they ended up that match for Wolves. I mean, it was so beautiful to watch top down. We see Mowgli baiting for his life with drones and shooting barricades, etc. And the members of DW, they took the bait. There was 2 members over there, almost 3 actually, dealing with Mowgli. And then you just wait with Shinka, P4, and Bibo on the balcony for 30, 45 seconds, punch the window, rush on in, Rise with the perfect timing, came onto Astro window rappel, and granted them the opening towards the bomb side. It was so explosive, but it was so methodical at the same time. Beautiful to watch. DW gotta keep fighting on later today. But Wolves, they look like they are here to stay, together with FaZe, of course, both being top of their group.
No. Well pointed out, and Wolves very, very strong. The other matchup that's going on in this group, FaZe versus Mirage, I am keen to see what the scoreline is for that, because Wolves want an opportunity to stay on top. There was potential to throw some upheaval into this group. It doesn't seem like that's the case. The 2 teams, both FaZe as well as Wolves, who came in as the presumptive favorites of the group, despite the fact that Dire Wolves were tied with FaZe Clan in 2nd place in this group. Looks like they're doing quite well today. That's it for this matchup. It was a quick one, a very brisk affair between the 2 teams whose names could have confused you. I know they confused us a few times. We're going to toss to a break, and then we'll come back to talk about what exactly happened in this matchup. We'll see you in just a few minutes.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position. That is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Well, it ended up being a more lopsided match than I think we were anticipating. And actually, it's the most lopsided match that you and I have casted so far throughout the entirety of group stages, but there's still time yet. We did not get the first 7-0 today, and from what I've heard, while the FaZe Mirage match is still ongoing, they're not a 7-0 either. So we are still waiting for that fabled 7-0. Which team will be the one to get not a single round? Unfortunately for Direwolves, they were involved in a 7-1 against FaZe yesterday, and now they're in a 7-2 against Wolves today. What are the bright spots for DW that you saw in this matchup?
The bright spots were that once they actually woke up, which took about 3 to 4 rounds, things were looking pretty good for them. I liked how they were playing the 4+1 role, where 4 members are doing one thing on the map. Then you had Pecan always going for that lurk kind of flank objective. The only thing is, Bibo was there every single time to shut it down, which means there were 2 potential rounds, like this one right here, where you get a double kill if Pecan has 1 more second to act. But Bibo just 1 step ahead. That 1 second makes a difference. And I think that playstyle for DW can work. And I don't think that's the issue. It comes down to Wolves' particular playstyle and just like the timing of things. Small things.
Just little things that DW need to work on today. The European squad Wolves have had issues in the past at previous majors with struggling against competition that on paper they should be able to beat. And I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
When you look at a team like Direwolves who come in from APAC, they're not world beaters in the sense that they don't have a ton of international experience. They don't have a ton of international success. They didn't make it out of the groups in Charlotte. They had that odd group, if you recall, where it was just them, Team 1, and OXG, if I remember correctly.
It was 3 teams, yeah.
Yeah, it was only 3 teams in that group, and they weren't able to make it out. Team 1 and OXG were the 2 teams that emerged from that. That was the best shot that Direwolves had, and they came into today tied in 2nd place with FaZe Clan because of what might have been a surprise result over Mirage in the last match of the day yesterday for both DW and MRG. Today, I think we came in not exactly sure of what Direwolves would show up. Would this be the team that got pummeled by FaZe Clan, or would this be the gritty team that was able to stick with Mirage and surprise us in a number of ways? Well, it ended up being the former, and they got dispatched by Wolves quite quickly. Wolves had great individual performances. Mowgli and Bibu were on fire in the matchup today, both in terms of flank and indirect contact, which is what Mowgli did. And we saw that Mowgli ace, which was our 3rd ace of the event after Astro and Gunner had got them earlier. And of course, Astro on the other stream got it literally 1 round before Mowgli did. Because we had thought maybe this is just the 2nd ace for Mowgli. Not quite.
Wasn't true. I want to see DW play more conventional maps, like simple maps like Chalet and Oregon, where they have more freedom to just kind of play the game. Because on Villa, there's a big checklist of how you gotta approach it, and they were playing very freely in the beginning, and those are the rounds where they got slaughtered. Once they were forcing themselves onto a more fundamental objective and role, that's when they started picking up rounds. So I think Villa was a tough choice for them, especially against the matchup of Wolves.
Yeah, undoubtedly a tough map to go to. Only a single player went positive on DW, and that was Reaps because of a couple good rounds to end things off. Mowgli stole the show for Wolves. Both Shinka and P4 played into their more support-oriented roles quite effectively, even though P4 did have a rough run on more front-facing roles and not support-oriented style. Wasn't able to get the kills, but I mean, when the way that we saw Mowgli and Bibu show up, when you see that happen, doesn't really matter if 1 or 2 players aren't having the greatest match, especially if Direwolves are really struggling to have their own players show up.
Yeah, and P4 had a strong finish, which I think matters as well, because you know, it can be hard to build that confidence if you don't find success, but he kept through it, he kept pushing on, and they ended up with a big win in the end.
So did FaZe Clan, by the way.
So
as you can
FaZe Clan.
see from the points, FaZe Clan toppling Mirage without needing overtime. That means that Mirage only have that single point that they got in their OT loss against Wolves yesterday, which was a very surprising result. Mirage seemed very confident and very in control of much of that matchup, taking Wolves to all 15 rounds, ultimately falling short. I mean, you're a Mirage team. You're here at your very first international event. The fact that Mirage were able to make it to this major was a surprise, given the landscape of the North American League. But Mirage, been counted out time and time again. They rose to the occasion, and they did quite well. Direwolves in a very similar position, but we've seen Direwolves show both in Charlotte, even though they didn't make it out of groups, that they can hang with the big dogs. And here, we saw yesterday in their matchup against Mirage, but up against the top 2 teams in this group, DW disappeared. They disappeared against FaZe Clan yesterday. They disappeared against Wolves today. They've got a little bit of stuff that they need to work on, because the next match for Direwolves today is against FaZe Clan. So you're going to be repeating the teams that you played against, and you didn't have the best result against FaZe. FaZe just demolished Mirage in their previous matchup. But FaZe did well against Direwolves and then struggled against Wolves. Are FaZe going to take the afternoon off in their matchup against DW, or are DW going to come out of the gate firing? That is something that's going to be answered by the folks who cast it, because it's not going to be us who talk about it.
No.
We're not going to be doing it.
No.
I actually don't know the schedule, so I don't know which caster is going to be taking care of it, but it's certainly not going to be us.
No, we have other games to cast.
That is true.
Yeah. For the side of Mirage, I mean, when you come out storming out the gates like they did, going OT against Wolves, we go, okay, expectations for them are now high.
Yes.
And it's the first game, it's day 1, so it's hard to really justify that, but that's the reality. If they do so well in game number 1, we expect them to follow through. Then they lost to Direwolves, etc. I'm going to go, what happened? Because we didn't cast the game, we didn't see it. And now, when you get the rematches, right, the second time around, just like when Direwolves go up against FaZe, what is going to play out? Now that you know the playstyle, you're more familiar with your opponents, that's really when you can start taking points back onto your side of things, if you can show up and do that proactive counterplay.
Absolutely. We'd love to be able to bring more Rainbow Six to you, but we are actually off for a little bit. We're going to have other casters join us here on the stream, taking over matches 3 and 4. So let's introduce them. Let's bring them out. But before we do that, a break. We'll be back in just a couple minutes as day number 2 continues to roll on.